We'll start with a brief overview of what Everbridge is, take about 25 minutes or so, and then I will get into the actual manager calendar training. So Everbridge is a cloud provider founded in the wake of 9/11. Initially, it focused on delivery of public safety notifications. One you might remember from the news was when Hawaii told their citizens a nuclear attack was imminent. So that wasn't Everbridge, but since then they have now moved to using Everbridge. Since their initial beginnings, they have now branched out to IT alerting, employee safety, medical communication, other notification-centric solutions. So what are we using Everbridge for? Or why are we using Everbridge? To reduce the mean time to restore service. The vast majority of you have probably sat on at least one and probably many bridges where you're waiting for someone to join the bridge, sometimes even an hour or more. You're waiting for resources. So reducing mean time to restore service by reducing the time to assemble for major incidents. That stability is what we're hoping for with Everbridge. Next is simplicity. I'm sure you've all fought with some of the calendars. If you've got a basic 24/7, everybody rotates once a week calendar, ServiceNow's on-call rota was fairly simplistic even for those type of schedules. If you had any type of deviation or oddball to your schedule, you may have fought quite a bit with getting those calendars set. You may have fought that you cannot build this, it overlaps by 1 second. The simplicity and the intuitive on-call calendar within Everbridge has a lot more flexibility and is a lot easier to build exactly what you're after. West is implementing Everbridge's IT alerting, ITA product. What that replaces from ServiceNow, so major incident assembly summons. It has hit the fan and we need the following 10 groups on a bridge and we need them there yesterday. That will now be run through Everbridge. Now we are not getting rid of ServiceNow and the incidents themselves are still worked within ServiceNow. The Everbridge is simply a communication assistant that is designed to work with ServiceNow. Bridge provider for major incident. In the past we've been using Twilio. We are now moving to Everbridge's provider for our major incident bridges. Also coming out of ServiceNow and into Everbridge is that on-call calendar. Again, the incidents still remain and are worked the same way as ever, but you'll be able to set up that on-call calendar, which is much easier to set up within the Everbridge. P1 through P4, unassigned incident engagement of on-call resources. These are those standard generated by event incidents that come in every day, and they're supposed to go and find the groups on call and page out to that to make sure that until an assignee is assigned to the ticket, at which time it stops paging. Now, at this point, we have seen quite a few people who have forwarded the invite to this, and we also have quite a few people we noticed when we began setting this up that groups are receiving those P1 through P4 unassigned incidents. They don't have an on-call rota set up. One of the things we wanted to point out was if your group receives the P1 through P4 incidents for unassigned tickets, or your group may need to be called to a major incident, you will need to be in Everbridge and you must set up a calendar and staff it. The reason I say that is if you do not set up, if there's no calendar at all or no staffed for your on-call, and you get an incident in to your assignment group, it will page your entire group. You can set it up to only page your primary on-call, but if you don't have anything, it'll page everybody. So it's important to watch through this training and make sure that you're in there and getting those set up. Another thing for the folks who forwarded this meeting invite, the folks you forwarded to probably will not have the access within Everbridge to set up these calendars. The manager in a ServiceNow group does not even have to be a manager, but they are responsible for 3 things: managing what members are in their group, managing your on-call schedule, and escalations for the group. So if you are the manager of a group but you have somebody else doing that, you may consider moving them to being the manager of the group for those responsibilities if they're actually the one handling. Otherwise, they will not have the correct right. Things Everbridge does not replace when you go in and say set up subscriptions that say, tell me anytime a P2 or a P3 or P2 or P1 is opened with the location in Deno 6 or any of those subscriptions that you can custom filter and set up for yourself. Those all still remain within ServiceNow. Catalog task assigned to group. These are through our catalog items, similar to what our former requests were. Any of that does not page, it does not send any notifications. So all of your notifications that you can say, anytime something's open to my group, remain within ServiceNow. Only the on-call portion is moving to Everbridge. User and group data synced from established sources of truth. So we already have a nightly sync from our Oracle HCM that loads our users, also IBM for some of our contractors, and we have an hourly sync from that West Corporation telephone directory. Everyone has been told that they have to keep their phone number updated within the telephone directory. Those already currently sync to ServiceNow. The ServiceNow to Everbridge sync will be set up to run hourly. It will pull that information, those users, those groups, into Everbridge. So ServiceNow will become the source of truth for Everbridge, and all of that data that's coming in from our other sources will then be routed to Everbridge. So it's important that we make sure that our managers are managing their group members. Make sure somebody leaves, you're clearing them out of there. You get somebody new, you're making sure that they're put in those groups. We are using West single sign-on for authentication into Everbridge tools. Groups in ServiceNow with an incident involved in the last 120 days, or if when we created your group you told us you work incidents, we're assigned a type of Everbridge. That's what allows it to know it is synced to Everbridge. Can we have multiple group managers assigned for a group? No, at this time that is not an option. Of course, that isn't an option in ServiceNow at the moment either. Everbridge engages on-call resources when specific incident conditions are met. A major incident proposed or P1 through P4 opens where the incident is unassigned. Everbridge is updated based on incident updates. So we have certain things that will trigger updates, or when it's closed, then the Everbridge incident will also close. Automate major incident overview. So we want to automate assembly when a major incident is proposed. Right now, if a major incident is proposed, then the incident commander at the NOC tries to get a hold of who proposed it and have a chat and find out if it's a valid. That eats up a lot of time right at the very beginning for the proposal. Now when an incident is proposed, major incident, Everbridge will reach out. It will contact the incident command on call, the assignment groups on call, and whoever proposed for the incident to be moved to major incident, and it will summon them to a bridge immediately so they can very quickly have that talk, decide if this is actually a major incident that should be accepted. Also, those summon groups, there's a link. This communicates right back with ServiceNow. So on that incident, you'll be able to see who was paged, when they were paged, when they respond, when they joined a bridge, when they dropped off the bridge. So all of that information will be accounted for. That expedites assembly when a major incident is accepted. Once those three folks on that first call have decided, yes, this is a major incident, and they set it to accepted, a primary on-call for each group needed is summoned to the existing bridge. Currently, our ICs will be able to select those groups. Eventually, we hope to be able to actually list groups based off of our products. So if poly or specific intercall type bridge goes down, we can say we need, group A, group C, group Q, and group Z called for this when there's a major incident. And we'll be able to automate that a little more. We're not there yet, but it is a goal. One click to join. That includes whether you are just accepting, hey, I will be the assigned, or if it is a call to a bridge, you can click and your phone will reach right back out and contact that bridge. Now, in past, our escalation path has been a 10-minute. Call somebody, you wait 10 minutes, kind of leads us back to that. We've all been on a bridge waiting 2 hours for somebody to join. The new escalation timing that has been decided upon by our executives is a 4-minute schedule. What that translates to, I'll show you here on. So right when that, at 0 minutes, when that incident first pops, it will reach out to our primary on-call. There are two methods of communication. There is a mobile app, which is a nice, easy-to-use one, and the second is SMS. Default will be you'll be set up for app and SMS. If you do not log into the app and register, then Everbridge will skip the app and go directly to your SMS. It will rotate 2 times through, so if you only have SMS, you're going to get an SMS page, and 2 minutes later, you're going to get another one. At 4 minutes, that's that magic new number, well, I don't know quite how I did that, but we're going to put it back. At 4 minutes, that's going to escalate to our secondary and our on-call schedule. If you don't have a secondary, it's going to move right to Group Manager. At 8 minutes, it's going to move to your tertiary if you have one set up. Now, in the meantime, while it's trying to call the secondary, it is going to continue through that second rotation of contacting your primary. At 10 minutes, we are going to have an escalation. The first escalation step is the manager of the ServiceNow group if they're not in the calendar. If you have your manager set up in the calendar to get a call sooner than that, it's going to go to his boss. He's going to get a notification via app and SMS. 4 minutes after that, at 14 minutes, the manager's boss, be that a director, whatever step that is going to get a communication on app and then SMS. That's going to repeat up that organizational chart until it hits the first VP. So 3 o'clock in the morning, you're not answering. Eventually, it's going to get up to a VP. If the VP also doesn't answer, that's going to go back to the enterprise contact center, the on-call, and they're going to reach out and get a hold of somebody else on that team manually and individually. We do know this is an aggressive scheduling for on-call. That is the point. So, key user benefits. Improved on-call scheduling. As I've already explained, you will like this on-call calendar setup much better than the previous one. It's not only easier to use, but it is a lot more flexible. The mobile app, you can mark yourself unavailable via the mobile app. There's rich text when viewing notifications in the app. That one-click join and rejoin of bridges. You can set the app to unique tones for a major incident versus one of your P1 through P4 unassigned so that you can be notified and tell the difference when it goes off across the room immediately, whether that's a super important one or just a standard assignment. You can set your major incidents to override your device's silent mode. So you can say, silent mode for this, but for major incident, even if I accidentally left my phone on silent, make sure you tell me about it. They have volume independent of the device volume. And benefit also is less time waiting on bridges. It does support reaching out to employees who are in different countries. That's why they have to go in and set up their numbers on the corporate telephone directory so that we can have those country codes and everything. So that does reach out and contact those. So our rollout schedule. Yesterday and today is training for our ServiceNow group managers, on-call calendar creation, maintenance, etc., etc. Monday through Wednesday is the group member training. This is how to set up the mobile app, incident response expectations, how to switch your on-call shifts, etc. All of you on the manager training also received invites to the 3 trainings for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week. Might be a good thing to attend. We are recording all of the sessions. At the end, we'll pick the best manager one and the best member one, and we'll get those posted out on West's YouTube page so that they're viewable and referenceable. There are also documents within the knowledge base. This document that I'm covering now and the group manager on-call scheduling are both available in the group manager section of our ServiceNow knowledge base. So if you're in ITIL view, click on knowledge. There's a group manager walkthroughs. You'll see Everbridge implementation overview. That's the document we're viewing now. And managing your on-call calendars in Everbridge. If you're coming in from the portal, it is pretty much the same thing. You click on knowledge base, and it is available under group manager walkthroughs. Thursday, February 28th, that's next week, we will have a testing of on-call engagement for P1 through P4 unassigned incidents. This is our standard stuff that comes in from events. Again, very important, if you do not have your calendar set up by Thursday the 28th, if you didn't have a calendar in ServiceNow before and you receive one of those, it's going to page the whole group. Now, they are working right now to import all of the existing on-call rotas that were in ServiceNow into Everbridge. So those of you who had one scheduled, they should be imported soon, but you're still going to want to go in and take a look. And if you wanted something other than you were able to get set up in ServiceNow, then now's your chance to get it improved. Dual notifications from the current and the new systems will start at 10 a.m. On Friday, March 1st, Everbridge has a major incident simulation. So we're going to get our incident commanders open. We're going to pull up a, fictitiously create a major incident. We're going to summon correct teams en masse using Everbridge and record the result. Friday, March 1st also, the testing of the on-call engagement for that P4 unassigned will end at 5 p.m. Over the weekend following that, we'll go back to using just the ServiceNow on-call. This allows for if things didn't go smoothly or you decided you wanted to tweak your calendars, you've got the weekend to review and Monday morning to make any changes you need. Teams that have been identified, config problems, failed, they can get all that fixed. Monday, March 4th at 10 a.m., Everbridge goes live. Everbridge solution will be reactivated, and the ServiceNow on-call calendars at that time will be inactivated. Okay. Any questions on the overview before we move on to the training for on-call calendars? £10.6.
Yeah, sorry. Does Everbridge can be integrated to any other monitoring tools like New Relic or Zabbix?
So New Relic, Zabbix, all of that, those are pulled into ServiceNow right now, and those incidents are created within ServiceNow. So that's not changing. The same thing it was doing before, it's doing now. Yeah. Everbridge, we still use ServiceNow. ServiceNow is our ticketing system. Everbridge only handles the communication. So if that incident comes in and the assignment group on the incident is group X, then the piece Everbridge is going to take over is it's going to reach out to group X's on call and page them. But the incident still worked within ServiceNow, Everbridge has a tie-in back to ServiceNow, so you'll be able to see right on your incident ticket who joined, who was paged, all of that.
All right. The reason I'm asking is because we use a similar tool right now for the Platform Ops Web Audit Integration Group. It's called PagerDuty. And depending on the type of incident, I mean, the system where the alarm was generated in New Relic, it follows a different escalation policy and calls different people during the page out process. I mean, even though the original working group and ServiceNow would be the same, I'm just quite curious if we can do something similar to that.
I will tell you right now that I have eagerly looked at potential future improvements to make this even better and do a lot of things very, very similar to that. This first, right out of the gate, we are going with, based off of the assignment group and the same paging that ServiceNow does right now today. The only difference is we have quite a few groups who didn't ever set up an on-call, and Everbridge is going to be quite the change for them, because instead of those incidents just black holing and waiting, some of which have been open for a very long time without ever being assigned, they will get a hold of somebody now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions on that? All right, then we will move on to creating your on-call calendar. As I go on, you'll see that the link I'm signed into will say manager.everbridge.net, but if you use just that link, you will not currently be able to get in. You need to make sure that you are using the manager.everbridge.net/SAML/login/West Manager in order to direct through our single sign-on, and that's all documented in the knowledge base article as well. Just like with ServiceNow, recommend using Chrome. First page you'll come into, click go to login page. This will take you to our very familiar single sign-on. Important note here, make sure that your username is all in lowercase. While most of our systems' username is not case sensitive, Everbridge is. That has caused us some problems, and we are working to convert any of our systems where that data is coming in where it was in all caps or in partial caps. They're working to convert that to a standard of all lowercase. So you guys get a little more updated training than my last two classes, as we have found some information out today. So bear with me as I try to adapt what I was teaching for the last couple of days. So the first thing we do when we come in is we're going to click on Contact. Now, I am currently running as an admin, so my screen is going to look a little bit different than yours will, but all of the tabs and basics are the same. You're then going to want to click on Schedule. Here's the different part. You're only going to see your calendar or your groups, and you're only going to see one of them at a time. When you log in, if you are a manager of multiple groups, you will make this a little bigger. When you click up at the top, you will see that you can switch between your groups up on the top. But only one of your groups is going to show. If you've created a calendar, but you have not activated it yet, you come back here and you can't find your calendar, select the drop down and select all or inactive. Now, I'm going to see a whole lot of these, but you'll only see the groups that you are manager of. That may change. I don't know yet, but for the moment, you'll only see your groups. We'll go back to the active. So our incident commanders will be able to search here and find any calendar out there and be able to quickly locate that group's calendar. We're going to show you how to set up a new calendar. Button right here, new calendar. Calendar name. Calendar name should always be your group name. The reason is within Everbridge, there's no need for multiple calendars. You only have one calendar. The calendar is like the thing that hangs on your wall. It's got all the dates, days of the week. That's what a calendar is. As we move on, I will show you what shifts are and what layers within those shifts are. So we'll show you how to get that level of detail you want and that flexibility you want all within a single calendar. Description, you can put in keywords of what your group does, what they might need to know for you to be paged to a major incident. Those keywords are also searchable. Update others when changes are made to this calendar. I recommend selecting all individuals scheduled on this calendar. All that does is it will send them an email that lets them know let's see, we'll make this 200% so you can see it a little bit better. On-site test group user, calendar was changed, people have been added to a shift or removed from a shift. So it's just an email notification. Not going to send them an SMS. It's not going to send them anything else. Just going to click them send them a notification via email that schedule has changed. So I recommend that. And then click Save. I forgot something. Pick the country or regions that you want to see holidays for. This is just kind of nice. You click wherever you're at, and it'll show the local holidays just on the calendar. It doesn't affect your scheduling, anything else. It's just kind of nice for coming up. And then click Save. I did enter a name for this calendar. Oh. I forgot to delete my one from yesterday. My apologies. So let's try that again. New calendar. Test group for La Dama. Description. United States. And notify my individuals. And we're going to save that. Now you'll notice I have a calendar, but I don't have any shifts yet. So shifts are your actual hourly blocks you want to be able to schedule for.
That will be my last attempt to...
So Roberto, I'm going to mute you. You've got some background noise going on. So my calendar is my on the wall, shows every month, every day. My shifts are going to be, if you have a 24/7 rotates once a week, you only need one shift. But let's say you want to do a Monday morning at 8:30 to a Friday morning at 8:30 that rotates people every day. And then you want to do a different shift that does the Friday morning over the weekend back to the Monday morning. It's just one person for each week. You can do that with different shifts. So name your shift schedule something that makes sense for the timing for it. So we're going to do, this one is Monday, 8 a.m. to Friday, 8 a.m. I can be a little consistent here. And I can set the color of my shift. This is what it's going to show up for on my calendar, so I can tell the difference between my shifts. We're gonna blind everybody and make it neon pink here. So I said I wanted Monday at 8 a.m. to Friday at 8 a.m. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of Sunday. I'm going to go in and I'm going to look at Monday. So I'm going to start at 8 a.m. Now, if I'm just running through in whole day chunks, I can leave this end 24 hours. it's not a midnight to midnight. It's 24 hours from when you started. So I started at 8 a.m. I end at 8 a.m. That's fine. That's what I want anyway. If I wanted to do a day and night shift, I could start at 8 a.m. and end at 5 p.m. I want to do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're going to apply. Now, because I do a 24-hour, you'll notice it says until the next day. So that's Thursday at 8 a.m. until Friday at 8 a.m. So I can clear these other shifts. Extremely important is this right here. Link a group to this shift. You must link your groups to your shift. So we're going to select a group. We're going to go down and find my group. Next thing is enable shift sequencing. This is what determines that you have a primary and a secondary, the fact that there's ordered dialing. So first it calls one person, then it'll call another one. If you do not check enable shift sequencing, it defaults to call everybody. Now, I do have one group that wants everybody on their team. They're doing some cross-training, and they want everybody notified anytime there's an incident. They want to call them all at once. Couldn't do that in ServiceNow and here. You just uncheck that enable shift sequencing, and it'll call everybody who's on the shift. For minimum staff requirements, and mark the shift as an override shift, those don't need to be worried about at the moment. Future possibilities for minimum staff requirements, that's not saying how many you want on staff. That's saying if we ever got to the point where we said, hey, each shift I need at least one level 3 engineer, and we had that type of information on our users' profiles, we could set it where each shift required at least one level 3 engineer or one person who knew gobbledygook code or whatever. At the moment, of course, we don't have that type of information and skill rankings type thing, but it's potential for future use. Then I'm going to save. It's going to take it a minute, and then you're going to see my new shift pop up. And because it's after 8 a.m. on Friday, you're not going to see anything this week. We'll move on to the next week. So you see this shift is now 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. So I have a shift, but I don't have any people. So I'm going to, when you hover over the calendar, you'll get this little pop-up box. You can go back and edit your schedule. You can edit your layers. I'm going to add some staff. Staffing layer. Staffing layers are, you have a regular on-call. Let's say a group of 5 people rotate, every day, changes person. And let's say there are 3 team leads, and those team leads are the first point of escalation that you want called after your primary and your secondary have been called, and your team leads only alternate once a week. You could do a different layer for the team leads so that you can adjust the scheduling for them and the staffing still within that same shift. First, we're going to do our regular on-call. Again, name your staffing layer something that represents what they are. So in our regular rotation is Karen, LaDonna, and Chuck. Now, you'll notice it says sequencing is on. That's that step I told you before. If you don't turn sequencing on, it's just going to page everybody in the group. And click this rotation box, and we have a few more options. Number and staff on shift. This is where you get your primary, secondary. If you only have one on each shift, then you're only going to have a primary on call. If you want a primary and a secondary, you put 2 on shift. So that's going to put Karen as primary and then myself as secondary. Rotate number of staff members. This means every time you change the order or who's on call, moves by, in this case, it shows 1 person, which means tomorrow I would be primary, Chuck would be secondary. If I change this to 2, then today's Karen's primary and I'm secondary. Tomorrow it would move both of us off, and it would be Chuck would be primary, and pretend we had a 4th person down here would be the secondary. So you can set how much it rotates. Rotation order first to last is just the easiest to is not to confuse yourself. If you need to move people's order around, super simple. Hover over, grab it, drag it. That's all it takes. I'm going to check up there, move them back. Time frame. So right now, this shift is being set to rotate daily. Andrew, I'll work on that after this. Let's get through this. That's questions can take a little bit more answering. So this is my Monday through Friday. My folks are rotating daily. They've got 2 people on shift, and it's rotating each day. You see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You also want to make sure that you check this layer must have at least 1 staff member. That means if both your primary and your secondary say, hey, I can't work, and neither one of them have replaced themselves with someone else, then it's not going to let them. Click Save. Now, I told you that our folks wanted we're going to add a shift. This is going to be my weekend shift. This is going to be Friday morning at 8 a.m. till Monday morning. I've done the 24 hours, so it'll rotate over. And then I'm just going to clear these out. And I'm going to make this shift an obnoxious blue because I believe y'all should need eye strain drops by the time this is over. I'm going to link to my group. I'm going to enable my shift sequencing, and I'm going to save. Now, I've set people for this, but you'll notice unless I hover over it, I'm not seeing any people. If you want to see your people actually on the schedule, there's a little show staffing link here that'll take you down and show you who's staffed once. You can also look at your calendars from a main view, a shift view, or a staff view. So I'm going to add some staff to my weekend shift. My weekend shift is we're going to put Jason and Matt. We're going to set their rotation as only one of them being on shift, and we're going to rotate them weekly, starting every Friday. And we are going to save that. Oh. Now you see I've got these rotating each day. I've got a different primary and secondary, and my weekends are staying the same person through the entire weekend. So Matt starts on this coming Friday, and he'll be on there until the following Monday, and then next week Jason will take it. So you can set your different shifts to be flexible. You can build in additional layers if you have, I could add a team lead layer. We're going to edit my layers here. We're going to add a new one. We're going to call this one team leads. And we're going to make this one just Jason and Matt. Set a rotation. And they're going to rotate weekly. So even within the same shift, on Friday, save, close, look at that. So you now see I have, first it will call Karen. On Monday, Chuck would be our secondary, and we have a tertiary, third person is going to call because I selected sequencing, would be Jason. Now our people change daily except for our team leads, which only change once a week. So Jason's the third or tertiary on-call for the entire week. You can look at shift view and see how your actual shifts look for each day. You can see staff view if you want to see what any one individual person's calendar looks like for a day. Okay, so we'll go back to main. Now, if this, let's see, look at just active, you'll notice we don't see test calendar for LaDonna on here. Pull mine up. You'll notice it says inactive here and unpublished. We want to encourage you, don't just activate your calendars, always publish them. That allows all of your incident commanders and that to be able to see them. So we want to make sure when we select the drop-down that we are not just making active, but that you are publishing. The reason I recommend doing it that way is you can't publish it unless it is active. So if you always go to publish, it's going to make it active for you and ensure that you're getting your stuff published. So once I've published this, then my calendar is active and viewable for our incident commanders. All right. Any questions on setting up your calendars? So Hector, I think you missed it when we first went in. Let's see, edit here. Let me move over here. So when you come and set up your shift schedule, oh, I'm sorry, I lied. When you edit your calendar section, for the actual calendar, you pick the countries or regions to see holidays for. So you set that and it just puts the holidays on there. It in no way affects your on-call schedule, but it allows you to you know, have the local holidays displayed on there. And there's a long list.
Hey, LaDonna, can that be done by individuals within or flexed across? I know some of us have teams with on-call folks in various different countries. So can we reflect control multiple holidays or anything?
You can check as many of them as you want, but you can't do it for an individual person. So you can put, if you've got folks in 5 countries, you can check 5 countries.
Awesome. Sorry if I missed that. Thank you.
Nope, no problem. Any other questions? Really? Nobody's got any questions for me?
So, LaDonna, this is Colin. I may have missed, you may have already said this, but so once it goes past your schedule, so let's say you've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people on your rotation, at that point, like, so when you went through the kind of the 4-minute escalation, so once it goes past the people on your list, it then just works its way through the organization chart, is that correct?
So depending on who you have on call, it's going to rotate through your primary, secondary. If you don't have a secondary, it's going to go right to your group manager or whoever's next. The key indicator is that 10-minute mark. At that 10-minute mark, it no longer cares about your schedule. It's going to jump to organizational. If your manager was not a part of the on-call schedule itself, that first stop is going to be the manager. If you put your manager in your on-call, it's going to skip him and jump to the next one. So then it's going to go up the org chart to the first VP, you know, one level up. First it's going to call the manager, then it's going to call the director. Whatever the next level is, you know, senior director, we've got some weird titles here, so I don't know, until it hits the first one that's marked VP. If the VP still doesn't answer, it's going to kick it back to the enterprise contact center.
Okay. And then, sorry, one last question on that. What does the acknowledgement look like? I only ask because obviously 10 minutes should be fine, but I'm just wondering if it's like, you know, some people get the call and then or get the page and then it takes them 10 minutes to boot up a machine or something, right? You don't want it going out to a VP knowing someone's actually looking at it.
So it's super simple. Let me see. So I'm not done writing this walkthrough yet for next week. I'm not even sure I have that screenshot in here yet.
Oh, that's okay. If that's on next week's training, that's cool. Sorry, it was just on my mind, so I thought I'd ask, but that's okay.
So it's one click. It's designed to be one click, and it's designed to be one click whether you're talking about the P1 through P4 unassigned incidents, our standard stuff from event that comes in every day. It's one click to say, hey, yes, I've got this. If it's a major incident and you're being summoned to a bridge, it's one click to join the bridge. No dialing a phone or hunting down. It comes into your app or it comes into your SMS. You click the link and it dials to the bridge for you, connects you automatically. So it's all designed as part of the benefits of this is that one click.
Okay.
So LaDonna, just correct me if I'm wrong, but it's either a button in the mobile app or a URL that's in your SMS that you click to either acknowledge or join the bridge, correct?
Yeah, I call it, whether it's a button or an actual link printed, to me they're links. They take you there, but it's a one click.
So once that acknowledgement happens, it stops the cascading alerting, right? So once the acknowledgement happens, it won't continue on to another person after that time, right? It's been acknowledged, and then it just gets treated as an ongoing incident, correct? Correct.
It works the same. It has the same escalation path as ServiceNow in regards to that. For P1 through P4, the assignment group is populated, which will happen when you do that one click. Then it stops the on-call rotation. For pages to a bridge, it will show you as joined to that bridge, and it will stop the escalation call for your group. Now, if multiple groups were paged for a major incident, it will continue with the on-calls for them until someone from their group has responded.
Understood. Thank you.
So the one button that you get, or the link or whatever, is it still? So how does it connect to the bridge? Does it dial in for you, or does it do a dial out? And the reason I'm asking is because we have certain countries that don't allow toll-free numbers for the U.S. to be dialed from those locations.
And I don't have a definitive answer. I know we have numbers set up for all of the primary countries that we have folks in to allow those connections, but I don't know exactly how those connections work. Do you know, Karen, is that a dial out or does it dial into your phone?
It dials back. You have to dial.
It dials back. But it has been set up with numbers for all of the countries that we have folks in.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Any
Yeah,
other
it's going to be a
questions?
one. I think you said this. It's just a one click. It doesn't have that conference number anymore. So when you get the page, you can either accept it and it will confirm that you've accepted the acknowledgement of the incident. As well, it has a link for joining the conference bridge, and you just click it. It populates the phone number, and you hit dial. You're connected in.
As I mentioned at the beginning, we are recording both this and the other two I did. We'll have a final recording of the manager training that will be posted to West's YouTube channel when we get it all cleaned up. Next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are the member training. All of the folks who received the manager invite have also received the member invites. Strongly recommend attending one of those. We'll show you how to install the app, what the app looks like, what settings you can do, and also the member portal and what flexibility your members will have on being able to cover shifts for each other. Last time, any other questions?
You did a great job. Thanks very much.
All right. Andrew, one thing I did want to, Andrew looks like Hairston. One thing I did want to check is at the top, as you say you're not seeing one of your groups. I'm not sure if you're not getting in at all or you're just not seeing a single group. But if you are, click at the top. You actually have to. We just found this out today, so I
It says it's
apologize.
good
It's
now.
not in. It's not in the documentation yet. Click at that arrow, and you'll be able to pick between your groups. All right. And if
Awesome.
there
Thank you.
there are no further questions, I will let everyone go. Have a wonderful weekend.